Hi there, this is Tyler Johnston, aka Stuart, and you're listening to How Are You Now, the toughest podcast in Letterkenny.
Welcome back to How Are You Now, the toughest podcast in Letterkenny. How are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. I'm Dean.
I'm Tiara.
And today we have a new guest with us from our Patreon subscribers, and we are on Patreon, so yes. You can find us on Patreon / How Are You Now Pod. And if you do happen to join in Patreon, you know what's out there right now?
I do.
Do you?
I do.
Our new good friend Tyler Johnston,
so much fun,
did an interview with us.
Yes.
And for anyone who is a Patreon subscriber, even at the minimum level of $1 a month, can listen, get early access to that interview. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Additionally, let's see what else. Little Kenny just came out.
Mm-hmm.
We've watched the first 3 episodes,
yes.
But there are 6.
Because technically in the U.S. we can only watch 2 of them.
Right.
Technically.
So whatever you do, don't get a VPN that thinks you're in Canada. And go to ctv.ca, the Canadian TV website, and don't do that.
Don't do that. No.
That would not be appropriate. Also, one of the things that I'm planning on doing, and this is I kind of took the idea from what Jared Kiso does with Letterkenny, is I'm reaching out to independent bands, so bands who are not signed to any label, and are looking to get their name out, and are fans of Letterkenny. Reach out to us. You can reach us at our email, howareyounowpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, howareyounowpod. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Tumblr.
And it's any kind of music. It doesn't have to specifically be
right. I mean, if it matches what they do in Letterkenny, which is pretty much anything. I mean, they do hip hop, EDM, country, Americana, folk, you name it, they do it on there. As long as it's a little upbeat, would be nice.
Yeah.
And finally, we and also going back to the Tyler Johnston interview, we will be putting that out at the end of this season 3, and our season 3 recap. So that will be the end part of our season 3 recap. Then we're going to do Little Kenny.
Mm-hmm. Also early access to our Patreon subscribers.
Right. And then after that, we're going to take a week off.
At least a week.
Yeah. Before we start season 4.
I like vacation time.
So we're going to start our season 4. Our first episode will come out on August 8th. Okay. So that'll be season 4, episode 1. Beautiful. All right. So why don't we go ahead and introduce our new guest, Kevin Wack. Kevin, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. So tell us how you came to be a fan of Letterkenny, and what keeps you going, and how you came across our show.
Well, my sister had been begging me for months to watch the show.
That's a good sister right there.
Exactly, she really is. And around about November, I think it was, I finally was like, fine, I'll watch your show, I'll see what this is about, and was immediately hooked. We binge watched all 4 seasons that were available at the time on Hulu right then and there over the next couple days. Mm-hmm. And been hooked ever since, and then found you guys just through Twitter. I was following all the various actors and everybody, and found you guys and was like, well, I'm a truck driver, I got lots of time to listen to things. Sure, why not?
Hey,
I support that.
Yeah, totally. If we can keep you awake and not driving off the road,
hell yeah.
And hopefully other folks are doing that as well, because I've seen some of those crashes that they show on Facebook of people pulling in front of truckers, and doesn't end so well for the small cars.
Yeah, the truck's gonna win.
Usually.
All right, so you're.
You would think that's a given.
Yeah.
But...
So you're a big rig driver?
Yep.
Wow. So are you cross country or just local or?
I used to do cross country long haul, and then I was like, I want to be home more often, so I got a dedicated route and out during the week, home on the weekends, and
so I may have a proposition for you, being that you're a trucker, and one of my favorite movies of all time is Smokey and the Bandit, and we don't have
Why
any.
didn't I see this coming?
We don't have any puppers down here. I'm sure we can find somebody who's got a fast Trans Am. We can go across the border and sneak some back. What do you think?
sounds good to me. Let's make it happen.
Southbound
Maybe we should
and
talk
down.
about this not on the radio.
Hey, I've already said it on social media.
That is true. You have.
So this week we're going to be talking about season 3, episode 6.
Bradley's a killer.
Bradley is a killer, and actually, this is the season finale for this season. The next season, even though there is one more episode, it is an offshoot.
Mm-hmm.
Or
another one-off.
One-off. That's what I meant to say. Yes,
I figured.
For the haunting of Modine's.
Yes.
So this is the season finale. But recapping last week, we had the battle for Bonnie McMurray.
Oh yes,
which was a lot of fun. Just random silliness. What all happened in there, Tiara?
Hot tub.
There was some hot tub with Bonnie and Katie.
Hot tub.
Hot
a lot
tub,
of
yeah.
A lot of hot tub.
Hot tub and
action.
flirting and
Farting.
flarting. I think that's what we're calling
it. Favorite.
Flarting.
I know a few boys that flirt.
I'm feeling very attacked. So yeah. What else did we do with that one? So
You're the recapper.
Yeah, the recap. Yeah.
I'm the color commentary.
So we learned about dad noises.
Oh and you are the king of dad noises.
I am the king of dad noises of all kinds. So, and to that we say great.
Great.
That's right. We got to learn a bit about gay. We learned about the Ogopogo.
Yay!
There was a little gay versus Tannis action going on.
Hot.
It was super hot.
Yeah.
And we got.
I'd like to be in between that.
Who wouldn't?
I don't know.
Exactly.
And then we got to learn about Boomtown's penis.
Oh, Boomtown.
Yeah.
Which
and in your during that podcast, the question came up of what was a Fantasia party,
right?
Which got me wondering. So I looked it up, and it's a bachelorette party.
Oh,
interesting. I've never heard it called that before.
All right.
I hadn't either, but I was curious. So
all right. Looks like I'm jerking off again tonight. Yeah. So, which leads us right into Bradley is a killer. We start with the open. We're in the kitchen.
Oh, and the boys are all hungover.
Way hungover from getting really, 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 really drunk.
I haven't been drunk like that in a very, very long time. She says after going out dancing last night.
But Katie gets on them for being idiots.
Annoying.
So annoying.
So annoying.
With Derry rubbing his nipples on people and Squirrely Dan challenging everybody to a foot race and Wayne's most annoying laugh in the world. So she tells them to clean it up. She leaves. Then they get up and we find out that Samuel's going to have a baby brother, and we just, they don't like Sam.
I fucking hate
Yeah,
Samuel.
I mean, as Wayne says,
someone needs to hit that kid.
So yeah, he's a big fan of the idea of that Samuel needs to.
He doesn't like kids.
Yeah, doesn't like kids, and especially Samuel.
And especially Samuel.
Yeah, nobody likes Samuel, it seems. So then they have a discussion about if babies could be smart.
God. And that whole scene was just, obviously I've seen this before.
Right.
And I've seen that GIF a gajillion times. And I had I had actually forgotten it was from this episode because it's been a while since we watched this episode. So I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's where that came from. Because you see it all the time.
That noise he makes is so hilarious.
Oh, God.
I should have recorded it,
yes.
but it's terrible, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
It's he's like spitting up or
so,
something.
right. He's just so excited. He says, ow. Yeah, babies aren't smart.
Not so much.
Not so
Babies
much.
aren't smart.
No. Then we cut to Modine's 2. Everybody's walking in and they realize the place is trash. They ask what the hell happened. It's Degens from Upcountry. Gail says,
Offered him sex in exchange for peace. No takers, so it's safe to say they were gay degens.
Well, we'll just let you runs with that there, Gaylor.
Oh, is that the reason?
yeah, they could. I mean, yeah, they couldn't turn down that Haitian taco.
Which I love that it was then referenced again.
Yep.
When
Bradley came. Yep. So so there's some conversation about what they're going to do. Gail says that she's got somebody coming in. Katie asks if he's single, and
You've had a busy winter, Miss Katie.
Gail says you have a busy winter, Miss Katie.
she's like, yep.
Yeah,
Been a busy Katie. Yeah.
and they find out it's going to be Bradley, and they have a discussion about all the cool things that Bradley does. And you, what were you going to say about Wayne then?
I was going to say when Gail mentions that she's hiring somebody,
Oh, right.
Wayne straightens up and looks like offended at the fact that she's bringing some other strong
Right.
arm in.
Someone
True.
other than him.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he had that look on his face like when he first met Ship and Kingsley.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's that. What you talking about, Mister?
He had become a poopy pants.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he's super happy when he finds out it's Bradley. Everybody loves Bradley, and they have a discussion about that he does the low bones. And Katie's like, I'm hoping this is something else, but tell me what low bones is. Which is basically a below the waist fist bump, looking away, not just being
it.
cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
And but the best thing about Bradley is
Bradley is a fucking killer.
he is just a badass.
He will straight up kill you.
Yep, he's really good with the headbutts.
Yes.
Yep.
And they find out that Bradley's going to be there any second. They're going to wait for him. And as they're
And Squirrely Dan is so cute, and he's like, "I'm gonna wait for him."
I love him so much. And then Katie gets a text from Riley and Jonesy asking if she'll come to the game. Yes, no, or maybe. So she grins and walks off. So then we cut to the locker room. We find Joint Boy and Tyson are getting their sweaters. Joint Boy's getting 28. Tyson's getting number 9. There's a reference there to the reason he's getting number 9 for Gordie Howe, who
The Howe hat trick.
the Gordie Howe hat trick, a Gino and an apple and a Tilly.
A goal, an assist, and a fight.
That's right. All in one show. Then they have an argument with Shorzy about that. Who's the greatest? Because Gretzky. And then the team recaps kind of what they've gone over all season with what's built their dynamics.
Yeah.
About
Their teamwork.
Yeah, the chirping and no
Fighting
puck
puck
bunny.
bunnies
Yeah,
and-
all that stuff.
Boomtown showing his dick.
Right. Boomtown showing his dick. Everything that has brought them together as a team.
Although Boomtown's not so sure why he
yeah,
would do that, but he
right.
still did it.
Right. So then we cut to the Skids at the basement, and they're saying goodbye to Gay.
They're so sad.
It's heartbreaking.
I want to hug Rolled so bad.
Oh, you just want to hug them all.
No.
I mean, all of them are so sad. I mean, Gay is fucking it. Her sad face is adorable.
I know, right? Oh, Jesus fucking.
She's gorgeous and she's adorable when she's sad, and even she can't ugly cry.
No, she can't.
No, she can't. She's beautiful even when she's crying. Is that kind of like that? Kind of reminds me of that song, the lap dance.
Oh God. The lap dance is so much better when the stripper's crying.
I didn't want to say the whole thing, but I'll let that doesn't sound very PC, but you said it. So
Wait, did someone say we were PC? I mean, I like to be polite. Is that confusing there for some people?
it's not polite to talk about strippers at the podcast table.
Oh my God, they don't know us very well. Then
You're not exposed to.
I like talking about strippers.
We'll be talking about strippers in January, February, probably.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So anyway, cut back to Modine's 2. Bradley shows up. Bradley! Katie's panties are very moist.
She's gonna slide right off that stool.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dude, I have totally used that line before. Oh man.
We need some sandbags. But yeah, so yeah, Bradley shows up. He has got a Haitian taco, which
Haitian
is
taco recipe.
Has a Haitian taco recipe from Grandma, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And Dan's like, yes, it is food.
Could be both. Why not both?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're gonna eat it, put it in your mouth,
right?
Then Bradley does all of his impressions. He does. He does.
Eddie Murphy,
Chris Rock,
Michael Jackson,
Chris Tucker,
Denzel, De Niro.
Yep.
I don't think I got all of them.
I think that was all of them.
Is that all of them?
I think that was it. And
but then again, I do have to say, his Chris Tucker to me, I totally thought was Sammy Davis Jr.
It did.
Like,
I
think it sounded like it, and then
I
it
think
kind
he
of
couldn't quite get that high.
Yeah.
That Chris Tucker has. So yeah, it was definitely lower octave,
but also like a little more nasally.
Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah, so I could see that.
Doing that? What's he doing?
Yeah.
Oh man!
And they're like Chris Tucker, and I'm like, oh, that I get it, I see it.
Yep.
Okay.
So and then out of the kitchen, somebody comes out that Katie doesn't recognize, and he says, "Who is that?" And Gail says, "Go check it out for yourself." And she's starting to flirt and finds out that it's Glenn.
Which you brought up a good point.
Well, we'll get to that
Okay.
at the end, at the thoughts, theories, questions, and stuff. But yeah, but at that point in time, Katie's like,
busy winter's over.
yeah, busy winter's over. That's the wake up call.
I just flirted with Glenn.
But you know
All
what?
right, then.
Glenn looking good.
Glenn looks great with this makeover.
Yeah. So we're then at the hockey rink.
Mm-hmm.
The game has started. They see a 99 and they start chirping at him because he's definitely no Gretzky. Gretzky
Right?
knocked his mom up back in the 80s and all that, and then all that stuff. And then Katie shows up, and one of the teammates and Shorzy starts catting calling at her. Who brought the Rocket Boys? And
Who's Billet's sister, boys?
Who's Billet's sister is the Rocket Boys. And then they realize we've got Tyson and Joy Boy right there. Beat those two dudes up.
So Shorzy finally gets his ass kicked.
That's right. So yeah, they get out there on the ice, and then the opposing team starts doing the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's all yep. That puck drops,
Gloves off.
mitts off, and it's all out fight. A nice long fight.
Yeah.
For that one. So
Hockey fights are the best.
hockey fights are great.
I can't wait until the NHL is in Seattle.
My favorite part of this scene is none of the main characters. It's the woman who Katie sits behind. The sign she's holding up that says Riley and Jonesy don't need penalties to get into my box.
Yes! I loved that so much.
And there
lost it when I saw it.
And there's another one on the other side about what Shorzy Morsey.
Yeah.
So that's a long fight, a musical montage, and so yeah, all the boys getting in the fight, and then it cuts back to Modine's,
and just like Katie predicted and warned.
No.
Which we
hang
didn't
on,
talk
hang
about
on. We start off with the Degens from Upcountry walk in.
Well, and something we didn't mention before was that Bradley had told the boys, take the night off, drink.
Yeah.
And Katie's like, are you
Right.
sure about this?
Right.
And he's like, oh, yeah, get
I
drunk,
got this.
drunk.
You're
I got
really,
this.
really, really drunk. Yep. But
And
anyway,
just like she
he scares the Degens off.
Yes.
and then you start see Derry and Dan getting annoying with Bradley, while and then Wayne's over there asking him to do Bill Cosby, and he does his annoying laugh, and it's just, you could just see Bradley is just he's realizing his mistake.
Well, and I don't understand the nipple thing. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
Like what does that do for you?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I have for afterward. Yeah. So
even drunk, I'm trying to imagine what that sensation.
I don't know. We'll talk about that. So then we cut back to the basement. All the boys there sitting down, sad about Gay, and they say they got to regroup. And
What would Gay do?
WWGD.
And they decide Gay would do one more
big
right
mayhem. I don't know.
Right.
Ruckus.
Final
Shenanigans.
for
Right,
fuck
right.
you.
Right.
Yes.
Fuck you. Anyway, so they hand out the masks and they head upstairs and they open the door, and
Rolled.
How
cold is it?
It is negative 24 degrees outside, and that's Celsius, which is colder, I think, than negative 24 Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They meet up at negative 40. For any of those who
30.
No, 40. It is
Okay.
40. It's
The way I always learned how to convert it, and I say this just from the basic BC Canadian kind of way, I always learned that you double Celsius and add 30, and that's about Fahrenheit. So if it was 30 degrees, it would actually be 90 Fahrenheit.
Okay. So anyway, they decide they can't do it, and then it's
What do you do now?
What we always do, Rold. Copious amounts of hard drugs.
Yes.
copious amounts of hard drugs. So yeah, it's a negative 11.2 Fahrenheit. Is negative 24.
For those of you in the U.S., since everybody else does Celsius.
I mean, I can. All right.
Not everybody.
I will go.
Pretty much.
Not everybody.
I will. Okay, so I will go with you on the metric system, but I can understand Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is based off of body temperature, whereas Celsius is based off of the boiling temperature of water. So I can go
understand
either
both
way.
as well.
So I'm fine either way with it. I mean, it's just, you got to do a conversion. That's all. So
Yeah, and
Now,
as
the-
a teacher who is charged to teach things like Celsius to Fahrenheit conversions,
Right.
I can tell you very little is put into U.S. textbooks about
sure.
that.
I don't doubt that.
I'm sure.
So, yeah. So copious amounts of drugs. Then back to the locker room. There's big celebrations going on. The champagne is flowing. They're having a celly.
Did they get that W?
They did not get the
No.
W, but they
That
came.
fight was epic.
But they came together. But we learn even from this that Boomtown has some regrets.
Oh, yeah.
Showing you all my penis was degrading and humiliating. Had I known I could have just tossed the mitts to bring the team together, I would have chosen that route.
Oh, Boomtown.
But you know what, Boomtown, even though he's willing to take one for the team regardless, so he didn't know. Had he known, he would have done something differently, but because that was everybody else was doing it, he was going to go along. And I appreciate that about him. I know he felt uncomfortable, and I don't like that they coerced him into doing it.
Agreed.
Yeah. But I'm proud of Boomtown regardless. He's a real good guy. He's a
good
damn
guy.
good man.
He's a fucking great guy.
So, yeah, then the coach comes in. He said he is now the least embarrassed he's
never
ever
been
been.
less embarrassed,
He's never been.
yes.
I have never been.
That other team, fucking embarrassing.
That's right. And so then, but as coach is about to leave, that tells Riley and Jonesy, Katie, they've got a visitor, and they find out. They go out and find it's Katie.
Yes.
Katie wants to get back together, but
Dun, dun, dun.
only with one of them.
What
So little,
Katie
little,
wants
that's-
a normal relationship
yeah.
because she had a busy winter.
Yeah, she had a busy. Yeah. So anyway, back to Modine's. They're more drunk and more annoying.
Oh boy.
More nipple rubbing, more racing, more mumbling
And giggling.
and giggling. It's just and Bradley is just done. He headbutts Derry and Dan, and Wayne is like, "Wait, what?"
Like
And-
Wayne sobers up, like boom.
Right, and then one sleeve comes unbuttoned, and who walks in? Rosie.
Bradley's favorite cousin.
Bradley's it's Bradley's favorite cousin. That's what Gail says. And
Over and over again.
Rosie, Rosie's like, please no, and Gail says she loves him more than anybody else. And then the other one comes unbuttoned. And then
What's more important, this girl that you think you love or your friends?
Yeah.
That's
so the other sleeve comes unbuttoned, and you know what's happening at that point. So that's and cut to black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End
That's
of season.
End of season, end of episode. Thoughts, theories, questions, terms.
Well, this was the first episode where we learned Connor and Darian's name.
Yes,
This is true.
That is
Yep,
very true.
I do have a note for that.
And we were just
That is
talking
true.
about that actually in our interview with Tyler Johnston about the
just-
quote-unquote
Yep.
unnamed skids.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah. Connor and Darian. And I can't I remember Connor's real name, Patrick, and he's on Twitter. The other one, my brain is I will never remember his name because he's not active on social media. But they make a great spice to the skid basement. I mean, because after
like when they were all crying and the dude was still vaping like into his hair, that was I have been that crying goth kid, so I totally understand.
But but when we were talking to Keith, because from him making the WWE 2K19 characters, he goes, he pays more attention to them now because even like when they were tell me 3 reasons why you must be rebelling, and Connor's over there counting them off 1, 2, 3. So yeah, his just a little spice. Yes.
No words, but still lots of impact.
Right. And I had the same questions for you about what's the deal with Derry and his nipples,
right?
And why is Dan? I mean, I know when we get later on, we find out about foot racing with
how
Dan.
important that was to Dan.
But
yes,
I'm curious, and maybe it'll come up in Little Kenny when we see.
Oh,
who knows?
Yeah, it might.
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so too.
There's
a lot of like their childhood questions that I want to know about, and like I like spoiler for Little Kenny. I like that right in the beginning they kind of do it the same way Letterkenny does, where the first episode is essentially introducing you to everybody again,
right.
And then the second episode they start in with like stuff happening. And I'm sure that they did that for us Americans since we're only getting the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We have that theory that Dan didn't grow up with them. So are we going to see Dan and Little Kenny? Are we going to get answers to
Well, I
things
did
like
see
that?
a preview. I did see a preview for Little Kenny.
I don't watch previews.
Well, I mean, you could. It's hard to miss when you're paying attention.
When you're you.
When you're me and you're, running a Letterkenny
everything
podcast
and Reddit site.
Yes, I am a mod
And a
on
Facebook
the
page.
Letterkenny Reddit. But bit of trivia, and I think I've brought this up before. So Bradley, played by Adrian Holmes, and is the cousin of Rosie and Gail. Rosie, so at this point, Wayne's girlfriend, is played by what's her name? Clark Bacco. Sorry, her name's Clark. They play father and daughter
On
in
Supernatural.
So a little bit of
forgot
trivia.
about that, actually.
A little bit of trivia there for you.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was I found that interesting, but question that I had, when you look at when Katie got her text, it said Riley and Jonesy. Do they share a phone?
I wonder that myself.
So yeah, I thought that was that
or
was
it's a
interesting.
group chat.
Yeah,
it could be a group chat. They just always talked that way because it was always the three of them together.
Could be. The other question, because in the first episode of this season, when Modine's opens up, Gail's talking about how she had to hire a couple of waitresses. She hired Bonnie McMurray, and the other waitress was Glenn.
Yeah, and Katie was there,
And
right?
Katie was there.
Yeah, okay.
How did Katie forget about Glenn?
Oh, wow.
Explain yourself, Katie. Were you having such a busy winter?
Well, I think that's kind of part of it is that she walks over and realizes it and is like, Jesus Christ, am I that much in heat? Do I need to like she totally changes her whole attitude. She's like, I'm not just going to sleep around anymore.
I need to
I'm going to stop flirting with Bradley even. I want to date one person.
Need to pump the
hitting
brakes
on Glenn. Freaked her out.
She's doing a hard pump the brakes on on the slut button.
Yes.
So, that's fine. Whatever she wants to do.
Which as a sex supporter,
Yes.
you do what you need to do, but don't do it because you feel ashamed now, honey.
Right.
I mean, Glenn looked good.
Glenn did look good. I'll be the first. I was the first to admit that. So, so new terms we learned: snooters, which has not come up before. Which is basic. It's it's schneef.
Yeah.
It's snorting coke.
Meth.
And then low bones, so that's new.
Right.
The Gordie Howe hat trick, which is a Gino, which is a goal, an Apple, an assist, and a Tilly, a fight.
Yes.
So that's what I feel that we've learned in this episode. Is there anything I missed? Oh, one other thing. Why did Gail feel the need to initiate the fight? Because she obviously initiated that fight.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple things about Gail. Why did she insist on saying that? Like, is she jealous that Rosie likes him better, or because she I'm his second favorite cousin.
Well,
Rosie's his favorite.
Well, and he even says second favorite cousin.
Right.
So he's kind of a shitty person to say something like that.
Right. I don't talk to my cousins that way. Like, there's literally I have 200 cousins, and there's literally 2 of them that I ever talk to. I wouldn't tell them that I think that they're better than the other.
Right.
Maybe I'm weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm my only guess is that she's trying to become the first favorite cousin, or she's trying to get rid of Rosie. Obviously, that's what it seems to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because
she
wants Wayne. I mean, yeah. She wants Wayne. Bonnie wants Wayne. I mean, any of this.
Wayne's attractive, and Wayne has this air of chivalry, like small town chivalry, that, as a person who has grown up in a big city, when I see quote unquote chivalry around here, it's not actually based around what the other person needs, and Wayne definitely bases a lot of his feelings about what he thinks the other person wants or needs.
Right.
So
yeah, and it's kind of going back to the Modines episode where he fought Jive and Pete.
Right.
He went after Jive and Pete because he honked and hollered at Katie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't honk at girls and don't holler at girls. And then he looks at Katie and asks, and don't talk to girls when they're not interested in talking to you. And then he repeats that. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely leaning on Katie for the proper way to do
social skills.
Yeah, exactly. So
I really love the theory. Like I would love, if we ever get a chance to interview Jared Kiso, I would love to ask him if he knows anybody who's on the autism spectrum, and if he purposely did that, or if that's just kind of how the character evolved. Yeah. Because, I mean, as a person in the field, he's not to a point probably that he would even get a diagnosis these days.
Yeah.
But like most people who have identified as like on the fringe of the spectrum for so many years now have kind of gotten kicked off with the DSM changing. And so I'm curious, like, if it was an intentional, I'm going to play this person as autistic, or is it those are some traits that I've seen in kind of what I'm looking for the character. Like, was it an accident or was it on purpose?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it's based off of people from his hometown. So I would like to think that that's where he's basing it off of. So I don't know if that's fact or not, but yeah, that would be a really good, deep conversation to have with him.
Yes.
So anything else that we're thinking about while we're at it?
I was wondering, would Tanis ever come back to get back at the Skids for trying to set her up against Wayne?
Oh, that's right. She didn't really. She did kind of like try to take care of it, but then Gay scared her away.
Right, but she got run off by Gay.
Yeah, and now Gay's gone.
Yep.
Right.
Good question.
Let me write that down. Yeah.
Also, do we really think Katie's going to actually just settle with one person that she would date?
Yeah, that's not been her MO.
Not at all in this entire series so far.
But yeah, I think she's. I don't want to say. I think she. Here's what I'll say. I think she feels she's having to grow up.
Yes,
because I think, especially if you think about it, when she walks in at the very beginning, they're all hungover, and she's like, "Tell them, clean it up," She's
get your shit together.
Right. I'm mother hen now. I've kicked out Shep and Kingsley. I've been, I've had a busy winter. It's time to, it's time to straighten up, fly right, clean it up, boys. So yeah, I think maybe that's kind of where she's going with that, and so that that's not completely surprising. I mean. I guess, if you say gender can be fluid, sexuality can be fluid, I suppose that the
number of partners you desire could be fluid.
I suppose so. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, it could just,
we'd have to probably talk to more people in those circles to
totally
understand that.
Totally. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Anything else that we want to potentially discuss before we get into
the best part of the show?
It's the part that I see most
that
when people join the Facebook group, because one of the questions is, what is it you like about the show? And nine times out of 10 when it's answered, because sometimes people just don't answer the question. Right. So, but it's 9 times out of 10, fuck, fight, Ferda. So,
and then that other one time, I've actually never listened to your podcast, but I'm going to.
Right. I just heard about it. So, are we ready for fuck, fight, Ferda?
Did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to bring up?
No, I think that's about it. There was a slight continuity break, but it's a slight spoiler for, like, I forget which episode, where we find out Derry can't say breakfast right.
Oh, right. Yep.
That's right.
But he says breakfast right in this episode. So I'm like, well,
I didn't catch
that.
That.
Disappointing, but yeah, he says breakfast here instead of
breakfast.
Breakfast. Yeah, but
backskit. I had breakfast in my backskit.
Yeah,
that hurt a little bit. Just listening to
it's hard. It's hard to say it. It's even hard. It's hard for me to say it wrong. Now I'll always say it wrong from now on. So
I think one thing, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit. One thing that really stood out for me on the show is just it's the first time. Like if we go back to when the Skids first met Gay. And Roald was like, a girl! And now he's so heartbroken at her leaving that it just, like, I want to be Gay for a minute just so I can just go, it's okay, Roaldy. It's okay.
Roaldy.
It's okay. Roaldy.
Sturt.
Oh, fuck. The more I rewatch the show, the more I fall in love with these characters. It's so amazing. Totally. Especially the
Absolutely.
The less in your face characters like Roald. Roald isn't necessarily one of the main characters,
right.
But he's probably one of my favorite things about the show.
Yeah, I think that way the skids have grown.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Rolled was meant to be that, and I think that just like Connor and Darian were just supposed to be background characters, and now have, even though they haven't had a speaking role yet, they have names, they have characteristics about themselves. So yeah, I think the more people have watched them, the more people have just loved those characters. So, because I think every character probably speaks to all of us in some way or another. So
yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into Fuck, Fight, and Ferda.
All
What do you
right.
say? All right. So we're gonna start off with Wayne.
God, that laugh really is annoying though.
I thought it was cute when they were driving to Quebec and he was his little butthead chuckle. But this was just a different level of off-putting.
Yeah, this was like creepy child laughter.
And it's kind of monotone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So
Still not as bad as Coach's giggle. So.
I love Mark Forward.
I'm gonna say
He's
Ferda
great.
for Wayne on this one.
Ferda.
It'd be a further for me as well. Like he stood up for his friends, even though he knew it was probably going to ruin his relationship with Rosie.
Yeah.
But he was like,
Yeah.
I gotta stick up for my friends, man. And I'm right there with you.
I mean, if Wayne is anything, he's loyal.
Yep.
He's loyal. He's efficient. And if you can be anything, you should be efficient. So.
Another, yeah. He's, God damn, there's so many things. Like, I can't believe
like-
I didn't see it right from the beginning.
He's like Gibbs with his rules.
Yeah.
If you watch NCIS.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Katie. She's moist.
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Bring the sandbags, boys.
I don't know. I mean, I would want to respect her choice to end Katie's season. Because that's kind of like, it really feels like she's been in heat.
Yeah.
Like she just kind of wants to climb on everything. And while I fully support that, it also seems in this episode she's decided that that's not the way that she wants to be. So,
but let's just
I feel
say,
like
let's just say she was willing to consent.
I know, but I'm just saying, it sounds like she needs a friend right now more than a fuck. So I'm gonna defer to Katie.
All right.
I'm gonna fuck.
Yeah, you go right ahead. All y'all.
Pretty much always.
All right. How about our good boy Squirrely Dan?
He challenged you to a foot race.
You know what? That's fine. He can challenge me to a foot race. We're both too fat and we're too run, and we both think Wayne's sister is hot. So
yeah, true story. True story.
Yeah, no, I'd probably defer to Dan. I don't like you just challenging me to a foot race over and over again. You'd be annoying, but you haven't crossed that threshold into me wanting to fight you yet.
Right.
So
I mean, plus you and I aren't the bouncers there, so it's not. We can walk away.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that absolutely would be a honey. I think that you are adorable, but let's talk tomorrow.
Let's go get you a cup of coffee, buddy.
Right, yeah.
So are you Ferda on Dan?
I'm Ferda Dan.
I'm guessing we're the same. It's going to be the same with Derry.
Yes,
well?
Absolutely. Because Derry creeps me out though when he's drunk.
Derry.
Oh, you're fighting Derry. All right.
Dude, Derry, like, seriously.
Yeah.
No, you don't want any nipples on you. Then. That's what you're saying. No, Derry.
Once or twice I can live with. You're drunk. I get it, but. If you're not going to listen, you're not going to listen.
Right?
You're crossing the line.
He wasn't taking
done.
no.
Sorry.
You know what?
Like he earned that headbutt. Like.
You know what? Here's what I think about now that I think about it. Derry's nipple. And after watching that second episode of Little Kenny, teats and udders, and that's he's got
he's got a thing about.
He's got a thing about teats.
Yep.
So maybe that's where that comes from.
Very well could be.
Don't know.
But I don't remember in past episodes him having a nipple thing when he got really drunk.
No,
he was always a fighter or a dancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. I guess Well, he did get really, really, really drunk at St. Perfect's Day.
Yeah,
So.
which was when he was fighting everybody.
Right. Maybe he has to get really, 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 really drunk to fight.
Okay. So one more reel.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Gaylor.
Wait, Gail or Gail?
Gaylor.
Gail. Okay.
Gail.
Two names that are too close together.
Yeah.
Like I feel like someone needs to remind her that not everybody wants to fuck her.
What?
But I mean, sometimes the energy she puts off, I get it.
All right.
I'm right there.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Right. It's hard. It's a difficult.
It's almost like Derry with his nipples.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So what are we doing?
That's a good question.
I love how there always seems to be hemming and hawing around Gail.
Well, it's like I said before, I purposely do not think about how to answer these questions so that when we're sitting and talking on the show, it's actually an authentic answer.
Right, sure.
So then I'm thinking, okay, this episode only, and I'm thinking back on that character in this episode. And in this episode, she was essentially like, yeah, my bar got ruined because these assholes, so I got my cousin to come in and I wanted to fuck them all, but none of them wanted to fuck me. I don't know. So they must have all been gay. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there's not a whole lot there that makes me want to fuck you, but
Sort yourself out.
Sort yourself out. So yeah, I'm gonna defer to Gail, I think.
All right.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna defer to as well.
I feel like she needs a.
I'd be on the cusp
like
of
a fuck buddy.
I'd be on, honestly though, I'd be on the cusp of fighting her because she instigated the whole shit.
She did instigate that, yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah, she was not the nicest person in this episode.
She's very rarely the nicest person in the episode, though.
Yeah,
she's usually just the most no bullshit in the episode.
Yeah. Riley and Jonesy.
They're so cute. They're so happy when they say, yeah, of course. I could potentially get in on this one. Would probably be the first time I've said this, but I would probably fuck Riley and Jonesy.
Oh,
I mean, you were surprised. I love it.
Well, when he said Ferda and you said yeah, so I wrote
no,
you down
that's
as
not
Ferda.
what I meant.
Clean it up.
Usually I say Ferda. Almost always I say Ferda, if not Fate.
Yeah, I think the last one you said you would fuck him as well.
Okay, well maybe they are growing up, or they're growing on me.
The other hockey players.
No.
I'm not sure. I got Shorzy on his own.
Okay, Shorzy's on his own. Okay, because you include Shorzy and it's absolutely no.
I don't include. So I'm talking about Bartz, Yorkie, Schultze, Fiske, and Boomtown.
Oh God.
Ferda.
Yeah, Ferda, but I do kind of want to pity fuck Boomtown. Not like all of them as a whole, but just like I want to cradle him a little bit. He needs someone to hold him and tell him it's gonna be okay and like pet his head and tell him that modest is good.
Sure. Coach.
With the two boots.
You got the heavy boot.
I fucking love the one gigantic boot on.
Think of the carnage.
Think of the good men left behind.
I kind of wanted to see the scene with him kicking the garbage can all over in that boot.
I know, right?
Mark Forward is so fucking funny.
So
and if you get a chance, listen to his podcast, Mark Forward podcast. It's really hilarious.
One of these days, he's gonna have to start paying you for all the plugs.
Meaning to look that one up.
So are we?
Coach. Fuck, I don't know. Ferda. I'm gonna say Ferda.
All right.
I'm gonna say Ferda.
Yeah, I got to defer to him on this one. Like he finally got that, acceptable terms of the end of the match.
They were finally good enough.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Shorzy.
Fuck him. And I don't mean to fuck him. I mean, like, fuck him. Fight him. But I would get someone else to fight him, really. Like, I would be like, Joint Boy.
What are you, Tyrion Lannister?
If I have Joint Boy right there and I have joints in my pocket, which I usually do, I would say, huh? Yeah, okay, cool. And it'd be over and I'd be happy.
There you go.
Just like Riley and Jonesy did when they were chirping at Katie.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd probably fight him as well.
I'm with you. Hey.
He has, yeah.
He's just a shithead, but that's what he's there for.
That's what he's there for, and he has some of the best chirps in the entire show. So.
He really does.
Let's talk about Joint Boy and Tyson then.
They're so cute. Like, I really, really, really honestly want to smoke pot with those characters. Just, I know that's not an actual thing, that they're not actually those characters in real life.
Does Tyson smoke weed? I know Joint Boy does. I mean,
I'm assuming they all do, really. I mean, and if they don't, they're probably like me and my friends, where they still stand there while the joint is getting passed back and forth.
All right. So, Ferda then, I'm taking it.
Okay.
Yeah, Ferda.
I might be a friend who fucks.
Well, hey, own it.
I might be a friend who fucks.
Okay, then, own it.
Like, I really want to smoke pot with them, but they're also kind of cute sometimes.
Gay.
Especially Tyson. Yeah.
Oh,
There's no question about that.
So
I want to hold her and wipe her tears away and kiss her and do very, very naughty things to her.
Agreed.
I want to do bad things to Gay. Sturt.
Sturt is so cute in this one.
Ferda.
I mean, yeah, Ferda, but like, he's so sad. And you can, so watching this through the first time, mild spoiler for in the future when Gay comes back, I was a little surprised at how quickly that relationship changed. But like rewatching and kind of like really watching for things that, were changing in their relationship, you can see the two of them like staring into each other's eyes, and like when he kisses her hand, she's just like, and I'm like, okay, all right, they did build into it. It wasn't just a let's have them do a thing later.
Right.
So, so that made me a lot happier than the first couple times I watched it, because I didn't notice that dynamic changing. So like I would definitely Ferda Stewart in this and give him tips on how to talk to the one that he is interested in.
Right.
Because he doesn't seem to know how to do that very well.
He needs to figure it out.
He needs to figure it out a little bit.
Roldy.
God, I love Roldy. Roldy is like forever Ferda for me.
Forever Ferda.
Forever.
Same.
I love him. I want to be his fruit fly.
Connor and Darian.
Oh.
Ferda.
Yeah, Ferda. They remind me of people I hung out with in high school.
Rosie.
Darian or Connor reminds me of me in high school.
I could see that.
Tall, lanky, long hair, and now I vape.
There you go.
So,
there you go. I could see that. Do you follow? You should follow his Instagram. He's pretty damn funny.
Yeah, I just found him on there. So.
Rosie.
Rosie only comes in for that last bit, right?
She comes in at the first where when Bradley shows up.
Right.
And then she comes in at the end.
Okay. Ferda. There's nothing in this episode that
Okay.
makes me not like her or like her, really. What do you think?
I'd probably fuck her.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a toss up between fuck or Ferda, but
well, it's hard to say.
She's so damn cute.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she's adorable.
It's hard to say sometimes when doing this game. You've got a character that only showed up on screen for like 2 minutes in the entire episode, and you're like, do I take into account everything from before or just the 2 minutes?
Well, I think
Right,
you could.
right.
I think you could take into before. I think it kind of builds into those 2 minutes.
Okay.
So
No.
I'd still say Ferda right now, but
all right.
yeah, mostly because she reminds me a little too much of me sometimes.
Well, in that case, I'm fucking her.
I know you are.
All right, Bradley.
His impressions annoy me.
They were good though.
They were good.
They were good.
They
were good.
It's,
I married somebody who pretends to be other people all the time. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure, Sean Connery.
What?
You thought about it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Shut your whore mouth.
That was more Mike Myers from So I Married an Axe Murderer. Shows your mother.
Shows your mother.
Okay, sorry.
So, Bradley.
Bradley.
I saved him for last.
I'm going to say Ferda. I, so far, don't see why everybody loves him. He seems like a good guy. Good guy. But
I don't
know anything yet.
I think there are people like that in everybody's life who, you may like somebody a lot, and I'll be like, okay.
I don't get it, but okay.
Sure. All right.
Yeah, there's a history there that we're not privy
Right.
to.
Yes, exactly.
So it's hard to see that and understand that dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
It's just so hard to choose. Like, part of me is like, I'm with Wayne. I want to fight him. Like, because, like, you took it just a step too far. Like, I get they were annoying as hell, but come the fuck on. You're the sober one here.
Right.
You were warned.
Yeah.
You were warned fair and
Right.
square. But then, like, I want to defer to him because I want to be like, yo, you got your ass kicked.
Well,
you earned it, but you took
right.
it. So,
well, because if you think about it, the way Wayne, he'll fight somebody, and then right after, you want to come to a super soft birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's gonna fight you. It's kind of like what Keith said last episode. I want to fight Wayne to get his respect.
Yeah.
so I can understand that. So if you want to fight him for the sake of Ferda at a later point, I can go with that.
Yeah. Yep. That sounds about
All
good
right.
to me.
Fighting Bradley. All right. There's lots of Ferda. Not. The only one who's definitely getting fucked every time is Gay. So, but yeah, that was a lot of Ferda, and Shorzy is getting his ass whooped. So, good for that. So,
oh yeah.
So, Kevin, and I didn't do this up front, and I don't know if you have anything, Kevin. Do you have anything that you would like to plug or promote or tell people where to find you if you want? Or
my personal Twitter is at wackattack812.
Is August 12th your birthday?
Yes,
All right.
And now recently, same for my personal Instagram. I'm not hugely active on that. I also started up a new Instagram strictly for my miniatures that I paint.
Oh, nice.
I collect board games and do display pieces and stuff.
Like D&D or
I actually have never played D&D, but I do play like a lot of RPG style tabletop
like
games.
Warhammer and
almost. I do like Star Wars X-Wing for the miniatures game.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
And then just like a bunch of big box games where like it has a bunch of minis and a map and objectives and stuff.
Nice.
I've recently started getting into painting those, so I set up an Instagram, and that's at belgarath_paints_minis.
Cool.
So yeah.
Do you if somebody wants minis painted, can they come to you for that, or are you at that point yet?
I'm up in the air at right now. I'm still working on improving my techniques, and I want to get to a certain level before I really open up for commissions, but it's somewhere I'm working towards. Yeah.
I understand. Oh, and as far as also painting and stuff, I want to give a shout out real quick to Chris Guggen.
Oh yes.
who is making right now. I don't know if you do you collect pop vinyls at all?
I don't, but I have seen these, and I want them.
God,
he makes
so
some
many.
amazing. Oh, we have a ton.
Yeah.
I want to say we probably have 50.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
We had a friend who worked for Funko before they really kind of hit it big, and we would like completely support them way too much.
But we've got a lot of pops, and so when we found the Letterkenny pops,
Yes.
they are custom pops made by Chris Guggen, and I will put it in the show notes, and I think I put them in there before, but he does amazing work. And it's not just Letterkenny pops that he does; he's got other ones as well. But he is making ones for me and Tiara right now.
Oh, that is awesome.
Cool.
And Keith, and I know he's making. I know Keith for the WWE 2K19. He made a figure of me for that, and I think he's supposed to be making one of you for that as well.
Okay.
Which means we may have to buy WWE 2K19.
Oh, another video game we have to play.
I'm horrible at video games.
I've been tempted to pick up that game just to play.
Oh yeah, and then just
right?
today I think they released the Tanis and the cousins,
yes,
and the nephews. So yeah, those are his ones that are out.
Surly uncles. That's what it is.
Oh, that's Joint Boy and the Surly
Joint
Uncles.
Boy and the Surly Uncles.
No, but Tanis's little nephews and nieces.
Yep.
Those are awesome. But if you decide that you're going to go that route, let us know and we'll definitely promote the hell out of it.
Oh well, thanks.
Hell yeah. Anything else you would like to chat about?
No, I think that's about
awesome.
it.
T?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm sorry about the sound of my voice, but 1 month into it, it's finally starting to come back.
Hey, it's still sexy.
Laryngitis fucking sucks. Bronchitis and inflamed lymph nodes and all kinds of fun stuff, which is actually why we're going to have a couple of week break because I needed a couple of weeks.
R&R.
Yeah. I've been trying.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It was.
Thank you for having me.
It's been
and
a blast.
thank you for being a Patreon.
Yes.
Patron?
A Patreon patron.
Patreon patron. Yes.
Whatever it's called. Yeah. We appreciate that about you.
It is what we appreciate about you.
All right. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of How Are You Now? If you like us, subscribe and give us a nice review. If you don't, well, we're not for everyone, but we thank you for listening anyway. If you'd like to contact us for any reason, we can be found on Facebook at How Are You Now Podcast. We can also be found on Twitter and Instagram at How Are You Now Pod and via email at howareyouNowPod@gmail.com. We'd like to thank our good friend Jack Rainwater from the Hard Money Saints for allowing us to use their music for our intro and outro. You can find them on Reverb Nation at Hard Money Saints. See you DJs soon.
It's been too long since baby's been to town. Baby, on a great dog, I promise I'll treat you right. Give you all my money in the daytime and that good loving every night. I said, oh.